today, when you talk to producers in the film industry or you talk to the directors, they say, "Hamare paas actors nahi hai. We don't have actors. We don't have actors." Yet every next day you're having 5 kids launched or 10 kids launched, but you don't have actors.
You also have acting projects going on.
I do
So you have to balance it all.
Yes. It's very difficult actually to be me, if I'm very honest.
You also have been ranked amongst the Times 50 most desirable women in India.
Yeah, I've got some interesting photos floating around in the internet.
But any specific project that you lost out on that really upsets you, you know?
Yeah, Total Dhamal was the worst experience of my life. है दिल है मुश्किल जीना यहाँ जरा हटके जरा बचके ये है बम्बई मेरी जान.
We all know that women are great at multitasking, but our guest on this episode of Buzz by the Bay has taken this talent to the extreme. She is currently an actor and model, but her degree is in translational medicine. She pursued cardiology research at the prestigious Johns Hopkins University before going on to study film at the famous New York Film Academy. But that's not all. She's also trained in Western classical music and ballet and has her own production house. Very pleased to have with us in the studio the multi-talented Niharica Raizada.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Welcome on Buzz by the Bay. Wonderful to meet you in person.
Thank you.
And you have a very intriguing profile. I think I missed out a few things in my introduction, but I couldn't say it all. We'll be here all night then, you know? So, firstly, this is a very trending question. What do you identify as? And I don't mean pronouns. I mean, do you identify as a doctor, as an actor, as a model, or as everything?
I identify myself, I gave a talk about this a few years back, as a hybrid personality.
Okay.
That's what I identify myself as. And I'm very passionate about 2 things, like you mentioned, very passionate about medicine, very passionate about media, and these are my 2 loves, and I would not be able to live without either.
So, medicine and media, the only common thing in those 2 is the M.
Yeah,
there's not much more in common.
I can also give you the cardiology and cinema reference, and it would be the same.
Okay. I want to talk to you about this journey and all these decisions you took. You know, I mean, how come? Because medicine is not easy to study. It's a rigorous program.
Yes.
Right? And just for the sake of the audience, before we go on, I want to, mention that you're born and brought up in Luxembourg. Not many Indians there, I imagine.
Not at my time, but now more so. I mean, there's a lot of software engineers that have come, and since Google and Amazon have a lot of their infrastructure there, you see a lot of Indians working for these companies. And now you'll see people on the streets of Luxembourg who are speaking Hindi, and that was something I was not able to hear when I was born and, when I was growing up.
Wow. I mean, I would not
have imagined that.
I
wouldn't have imagined that. But it's happening.
Luxembourg, great. And you are the honorary cultural and arts ambassador between Luxembourg and India.
Yeah, one of the ambassadors, Jean-Claude Cougner, who was the ambassador for Luxembourg to India, he had asked me to help out in all matters of arts and culture and tourism. So I always do my best to be a part of my Luxembourg delegation whenever they come to India.
And your first language is French?
Yes.
But you speak Hindi very well, and of course English, and which other languages?
I speak German and Spanish, and I also speak what else? Luxembourgish. German, Spanish, Luxembourgish, French, Hindi, English.
Wow. Linguist, absolutely. So your journey, I mean, you studied medicine. You pursued a career in medicine knowing that you wanted to go on to act later on, or did you imagine yourself as a doctor?
I remember the first time I went for my interview, and I studied my basic undergrad at Imperial College, and I remember going into that interview and telling them I'm never going to practice, but I'm going to do a lot of research in this field.
Okay.
And to understand the lingo and the syntax of this field, I want to go through this whole curriculum. And I said, remember telling them this, and they themselves were shocked, like you just made that expression. They said, why would you join the course if you don't think you would actually be practicing? I said, because I want to do so much R&D. I feel medicine is going to change a lot. And they gave me my conditional entrance into that college because of this answer of mine.
Really?
Yes.
Your interest in research.
My interest in research and the way that I could see or I thought medicine would change. And today I'm implicating and I'm really actually doing all that stuff that I planned out to do.
So you're still doing research?
Of course, I'm actually building a hospital.
Where?
In Bangalore first.
In Bangalore. Is it
Yes.
cardiology specific?
No, it's not oriented towards cardiology. I feel the future of medicine lies in radiology and tech-driven healthcare.
Okay.
So I'm going to build a super specialized interventional radiology center which houses a great advanced MRI, PET, CT, ultrasound, mammography, X-ray, all the latest equipment, and we do surgical procedures using that equipment.
Robotic surgery?
It includes robotic surgery. It basically is you use these wires called catheters to unblock clots and to unblock and to take out fibroids, to remove tumors, but under the visual guidance of a medical imaging modality. So I want to use technology more and more, and in the future I feel that they will go hand in hand. So I learned enough of my work to do this.
Okay, so you're going to set up this hospital along with some other corporates, or is it your own initiative?
I'm the founder,
You're
but
the
I have a
founder.
team, and I have my set of doctors. You have to have the right set of doctors with the right quality caregivers if you really want to have a good unit. So I have been recruiting the right specialists.
Fantastic. So, but you also have acting projects going on.
I do
So you
simultaneously.
have to balance it all.
Yes. It's very difficult actually to be me, if I'm very honest. Sometimes I have taken too much on myself. Sometimes I feel that way. Sometimes I also feel whichever gives me the most success, I should focus on that more, for example, So sometimes I feel medicine might give me more success. Sometimes I feel that my film career is going very well. So I tend to focus on the career depending on how successful I am at it.
All right. So you oscillate between the two depending on what is giving you more returns.
Yes.
But then do you feel that you can't do any one thing to your fullest potential? Do you ever feel that then?
No.
You never feel
I work to the maximum of my potential in both my loves. That I don't want to believe that I do any disadvantages to my two loves.
Because I was going to actually ask you before you told me about this hospital that you've spent a lot of time studying medicine, which is a very hard degree, translational medicine you have done, and then you went to Johns Hopkins, which is a very, very prestigious university, and I imagine not easy at all to get into, and you did cardiology research. So I was going to ask you, and then you've turned to acting, which is great. One should follow their passion and their talent also. But I was going to say, then don't you feel that degree was slightly in vain or wasted, but now you have clarified that you're actually still pursuing this?
Oh, but I've never given up on it.
You've never given up?
No. I have a passion in cinema. I've always wanted to see myself on the big screen and be a part of some incredible stories. And it's a very difficult profession to crack, to be very honest with you.
Of course.
But I think that if you can manage to crack that thing, it's a short-lived profession and it has a certain shelf life, But till I'm 80 or 90, I can always be a part of the medical field and the healthcare field. So I think what I've kind of done for myself is I've invested in something at an early stage of my life so that eventually when I know that I may not have the glamour side of me, I will always have my mental sanity with me, which I will always invest in medicine, and I will always do that.
Impressive.
Always do that.
So you've got it well planned out. You actually said that when you feel you don't have the glamour side, that's in your words, then you of course have your cardiology research and your medical degree.
And I will have my shoes on till I die.
Okay, well, you seem to be a girl who's planned her life
very early on.
Very early on and very well. You've got your plan A, your plan B, everything in place.
But there have been many, many obstacles that have come in my path. I failed so much in college because I was not acumen-wise. I was maybe not as intelligent as required for these institutions like you spoke, these Imperial College, Johns Hopkins institutions, though I got better at it because I'm a hard-working girl.
Impressive. I read in your bio that you did research on biomarkers and...
Yes, I did research in biomarkers. I did research in stem cells, which at that time they were trying to replenish dead heart muscle into rejuvenating itself. It doesn't work so well for heart, but it has gone on to work great for other parts of the body. But we tried our best, and then I've done several projects in cardiology.
And you've performed surgeries, I read.
I've been an assistant to 3 incredible surgeons in Luxembourg. I've had the chance to work with surgeons who are cardiothoracic surgeons in India. I've worked with some of the best cardiothoracic surgeons in the world.
In India as well?
In India.
Who have you worked with in
I've
India?
worked with Dr. Trehan. I've worked with Dr. Ramakanta Panda, and they are some of the best. I could have worked with Dr. Bhattacharya if I would have gone in that direction, but I stayed with Asian Heart, so I worked with Dr. Panda.
Yes, of course, I know these names well. They are very highly regarded surgeons, the top surgeons, of course, in the country. That's amazing. And I appreciate that you're honest also about, certain things in your career, about failures and successes, that you're very honest about it. And I appreciate that honesty, and that you say that you have worked extra hard to make up for maybe certain skills you did not have.
Absolutely.
So when did you decide to pursue acting properly as a career? You finished these studies and then you went to New York Film Academy.
Yeah, I did it simultaneously on the weekends. There was a weekend course that we were able to do in an improvisation course that was available for the weekend. So I applied and I got in, and I was able to enroll myself in a couple of programs at NY, in the New York Film Academy at NYFA, and I did them. And coming from Baltimore to New York was just an Amtrak away, and I did that several times. And I was very involved always in understanding how cinema is and how do you do it. And I would join lots of courses and workshops, and just to educate myself in general. I've done a lot of that. And I've done that since a young age. I've always been a performer. I've always been on stage. I've always been in the limelight. I've been under the spotlight so many times. So it's not something that's new to me, And even when I won these pageants, again, it was like, I became popular in that period, because I won. And when you win something, then those people around you start congratulating you, and then you really become popular. So I've never had something it's not happened. It's not as though it happened separately from my academics. It happened concurrently.
So weekdays you would cardiology research.
Yes.
Weekend cinema.
Yes, and also Wednesday. So even in London when we were studying, so evenings I would again try to do something in cinema, and Wednesdays we would have off. So again I would be doing something in cinema.
So very motivated, obviously.
I mean, yeah, you have to be, because it's a very difficult industry to crack.
So if you had to say which of these professions is harder, honestly, which one would you say is harder?
The film industry.
It's harder.
By a stretch. The film industry is the most difficult place to sustain yourself in. In an academic world, if you are talented and you are intelligent and you can come up with creative ideas and you have good mentors, you will progressively rise. And with my kind of skill sets, with the number of languages I speak, it's really quite international, in terms of what I can achieve. But in cinema, it's not the same. You can't, based on skill set, you cannot succeed. You
and
can't.
What do you think it is?
It has a lot to do with network. It has a lot to do with power, positioning, and your leveraging at that time. It has a lot to do with at what level you are going to surrender. People surrender themselves to the film industry because it's their be all and end all.
Surrender as in they compromise, make a lot of compromises.
They will do everything and anything to stay in it. And so not everybody has that quality. So and you cannot cultivate this quality, especially people who come from certain educational backgrounds and have a value system in place. I feel either you have to act to be able to surrender yourself at that level.
So you studied at New York Film Academy. Again, it's a very well-known institution. Then when did you come to India, and then why did you decide to come to India? You didn't want to stick on there and pursue acting in the
Yeah,
America?
so India to me, again, it comes to my futurism and the way that I saw the future trending towards. I saw India as being a superpower in the next 100 years. And I still believe in that. And I wanted to be in touch with that at ground level. I don't want to see it from afar. You cannot be someone who sees it from far away and then judges it, you know?
Yeah.
So I wanted to be in the circus of it.
I feel very happy when I hear of talented young people who have been born of Indian origin, born and brought up abroad, when they feel like coming back home. In a sense, it is coming. No, it's not your home in that sense. You weren't born and brought up here, but it is your home because you're of Indian origin.
Yeah,
right?
it's reverse.
It's a reverse brain drain, as we say.
And most of the time, we used to hear people leaving the country,
Of course.
you know, because they have this lure of money or they have this lure of system that's developed, you know, or something which is disciplined. And India is chaotic, you know, and it's crazy, and you have to really adjust and fit in. And there's so much to India, you know, but that's the beauty of it. And when you come here, you have to accept that and then see how in small ways you can contribute.
Yeah, you know, there's this meme that's very popular that people make, that people have made here, that India is not for beginners. You must have come across that India is not for beginners. And you mentioned the chaos, and
I can second that. It's
a whole
definitely
different ball game, you know, from anywhere else. In a nice way also, sometimes in a difficult way, sometimes a very nice way. So they say it's not for beginners.
I like that.
How do you think you've now totally fit in?
Oh yes, totally. I fit in like a glove.
You fit in like a glove. You took that leap, came here, debuted in a Bengali film.
Yeah.
Right? That was your first one.
Yeah.
Then you did Total Dhamal, Suryavanshi, quite a few projects. So which of these projects, how did you get your first break?
I was Miss India UK at that time.
Yes, yes.
And I had won a pageant. So like I told you, I was quite popular. And I met a lot of people and they offered me to play a part in this Bengali film. So I went to Kolkata and I was very happy to be on the big screen. So I accepted it. There was also a very nice actor that I wanted to work with. He had just done a film with Vidya Balan. Saswat Mukherjee is his name. And he was the villain, Bob Biswas, in that. And I was very fascinated by his work. And I have always sort of either followed my favorites in cinema, or I have people that I want to work with that I've tried to get access to them, and then if I even get a small role in one of those films in which they are playing, I'll say yes to it.
So which of these has been the most outstanding experience, the one that stands out actually the most?
So in terms of satisfaction, none, because I'm not satisfied by any of the projects that I've done.
You want bigger roles, meatier roles?
Yeah, meatier roles, more prominence. But I think Suryavanshi was a decent experience because after what I experienced in Total Dhamal, so Suryavanshi was a much nicer experience.
Okay. All right. You've also won the Dadasaheb Award Indian Television Award for Best Actress.
Yeah, for IB 71. I'm still trying to wonder which scene got me that award, because I get stabbed, you know, and everybody I talk to who's seen that film, they tell me, you know, you got stabbed, are you okay? They still ask me, you know, on the streets, like if I meet them and they say, we've seen your film, and they say, did you get hurt? That's how real they thought it was.
So you got your first break because you got Miss India UK in 2010, I think.
Yeah.
Right? And then you got your break from there, people noticed you, you came here. You also have been ranked amongst the Times 50 most desirable women in India.
Yeah, I've got some interesting photos floating around in the internet.
Oh my God!
So I think desirability is a constant shift of, you know, people's perception. So
interesting
at that time,
photos. Okay.
Yeah, and now you have all these what do you call them when people use your photos?
Yeah, the deep fakes.
The deep fakes and stuff. So now I think they've gone on to other sites as well.
You mean you have deep fakes?
I think so, like, because I remember people actually, you know, flagging and telling me that this has come through. So I've been reporting at times.
So you reported and were they taken off?
Yeah, I mean, I hope that, I think action has been taken. But yeah, I've
so is that what got you the 50 most desirable, top 50 most desirable women?
But I must say that it has a part to play in all of it. I don't think I take these lists or awards, to be very frank, seriously, unless you know that it's coming from a place which is like really meaningful, you know, and which most of the times it's not. But I think things have become less and less real, to be very honest.
Less and less real.
Yeah, so when you talk about, so whenever I see real talent get commemorated, okay, I have tears in my eyes, you know. So when Parasite won the best international film at the Oscars, I was in tears because it deserved to win, I felt, you know, and he worked really hard to reach that position. Or when I saw Payal Kapadia win at the Cannes Film Festival for All We Imagine Is Light, I found that to be something which was phenomenal, you know. So there are certain moments, these are what you call those, how do you call in the Matrix, right? You have blips, right?
Okay.
And these are blips.
These are blips.
Yeah.
So you think most of the time real talent is not getting its due? You're saying it's
not
like
at
a
all.
blip in the Matrix.
Yeah. Every time something good happens, it's just a blip. Most of the time, it's all fake.
I like that. You take a bold stand, and I like that. You say you want meatier roles. You feel you deserve meatier roles.
Absolutely, I deserve meatier roles.
Definitely. So then what is coming in your way?
People's mindsets, maybe a certain time that has also elapsed in the film industry now. You know, younger people have come in and the competition is tougher. And in general also the film industry, I feel sometimes it's going through ups and downs, and you know, I want films, so films are very difficult to get. People might be able to get web shows far more easier than films, but I'm so concentrated on the larger format that it takes more time for me to get a film.
Because one might argue that possibly these shows are doing better than a lot of the feature films out there.
I'm sure they are, and you know, we have to see where it's going to head. But I still feel there's a certain magic that you feel in the cinema hall which you cannot feel watching a web show.
That is true. That's definitely true.
And because I want to be a part of that kind of magic, I don't want to, you know, just allow myself to do something just for the sake of being known, or just for the sake of money, or just for the sake of popularity. I want to do that, so I want to fixate on myself.
So have you been offered a lot of shows that you just reject because you won the film?
No, not that way either, but I have been now told a couple of scripts, so I might look at it.
Okay.
Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, one can pursue both, right?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that you shouldn't be that fixated, but like I said, if given the choice, I would always opt for the bigger screen.
Right. Coming a bit to, again, your struggles and journey in the industry, but of your family background, I was reading that your grandfather, O.P. Nair, was a very renowned music director. So you're his granddaughter, though that's a bit of your history.
Yes.
Do you feel, I mean, that gave you some advantage in the industry through connections or contacts?
Well, people are much kinder to me.
Okay.
And they don't feel my presence to be disturbing, I guess. When I do go to certain gatherings, they're happy to, you know, they're happy to have me there. But I don't think in general it's helped that much.
You don't think in general it's helped?
No.
Means people will tolerate you. I mean, what you're trying to say is that they're happy to have you in the gathering, but it's not open doors for you.
No.
So that, you know, you had to work yourself to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a very self-carved path, and I think you yourself are the person who's, whatever you are trying to do, you're doing it on your own and not on somebody else's shoulders, or not on somebody else's background, right? So I want to carve a niche for myself because Niharica is that way, right?
Yes.
So I don't want to ride on anybody else's shoulders also, and nobody else expects people to ride. I mean, my talent should be visible on screen for what I perform and what I do. It's got nothing to do with any forefather.
Yeah, nothing to do with any forefather, but you know how the industry is here, and you know that contacts and networking help. And they
so
open
that's what I'm
doors
saying. They will not reject me. They will tolerate. Like, I like that word. They will tolerate the fact that I'm there, just because I may have a lineage.
There is this huge debate that's always there in the industry. This whole nepotism, or insider versus outsider. Well, what's your take on that debate?
Well, there's definitely a line drawn between people who have absolutely no connections to the film industry versus people who have been brought up in film families like the Kapoors, or, you know, like the Deols, or like the Bharjatias, or some certain big, or the Mukherjees. There are some big families in the film industry, and they're very proud of their legacy. And why shouldn't they be? Because they really started off this journey in the film industry. So I don't take it away from them, but I do feel that we should open up the industry to more talented people and diversify and see more new talent being incorporated, because you cannot rely on just a very famous person's son or daughter to run an industry. But people in this industry, they are so hell-bent on making their children work, right? That you do feel that you've not been given a choice as an audience to see the world. Cinema is about bringing people of the world together. It is not just showcasing 5 families' children. Cinema is about talking about stories of the world, and whenever you talk about stories of the world, or if you're talking about stories of India, you need to bring people of India on the platform.
Right.
And they come from all walks of life. True. And you have to incorporate, if there was a static, then a metric, I would say 50-50 at least, if not 80-20.
No, thanks for being honest, and I'm glad you said that, because you're saying you have to expose the audience also to different forms of talent.
So eventually all the roles that you want to depict on screens cannot be depicted by your Bollywood star kids, because they don't have that experience.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they just don't. Unless you tell me that those kids have traveled the world and have gone into certain places and lived those kinds of lives. They have not. Today, when you talk to producers in the film industry, or you talk to the directors, they say, "Hamare paas actors nahi hai. We don't have actors. Yet every next day you're having 5 kids launched or 10 kids launched, but you don't have actors."
So they say that.
They say this, and at the same time they say that we have to launch the kids. It is ridiculous.
How interesting that they actually say that.
It is such a dichotomy in the way that mentally, I don't know why they can't see themselves talk in that way.
It is a bit of a paradox.
It's weird.
For sure. And I'm sure it's frustrating for people who feel they deserve a better chance.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, so coming back to, you are also a musician, right?
Yeah.
Again, so somewhere that music gene is in your family. What kind of songs? Like French, Hindi, everything?
I like old Hindi music.
Like some of your
I like all
songs?
of O.P. Nair's songs.
Yeah.
They're the best melodies I've ever heard.
So because there were people like Mohammad Rafi,
Asha
Bhosle, Kishore Kumar, and everybody. I mean, he was one of the hit machines of the 1960s.
Yeah, he was a true legend.
You feel like singing a few lines?
ऐ दिल है मुश्किल जीना यहाँ ज़रा हटके ज़रा बचके ये है बम्बई मेरी जान. That's a song that was composed by him.
Beautiful. And I mean, I know that song, of course. Who doesn't know that song?
It really reflects, I think, a lot of what a lot of people face here.
You sang it so beautifully.
Thank you. That's very nice of you.
Wow. No, you have a lovely voice. You're, clearly very, very multi-talented. Your grandfather was quite a hard taskmaster.
Yes,
right?
if you were supposed to get into the recording at 9 o'clock in the morning and you reached at 9:01, the door was banged into your face, and these caused a lot of tiffs and a lot of fights between him and the artists and the
apparently
technicians.
It's very tough on the artists, even big artists like Mohammad Rafi and all.
Yeah,
it was very tough on them.
Timing was, very important. Doing your riyaz was very important. He didn't want to compromise anyway. He wanted quality.
Did you ever meet him?
Yeah, I mean, in Delhi, we were very young.
Okay.
But I've heard a lot of stories about him from the film industry and from people who've known him in his prime.
Coming back a bit to the industry, I have been reading, and one knows that even Hollywood is in quite a slump these days. The whole film industry is in a bit of a downturn. Why do you think that's happening, and how does that make you feel about your prospects?
I think that it's amazing. Every time I see a new film now, I see at least 12 new production houses producing it, okay? And I know out of those 12 production houses, one is going to stand out, right? Same goes in Hollywood. Hollywood also needs a whole bunch of people, a conglomerate, to be able to make those really big budget films, and one of them is going to succeed. But they've been following this franchisee model, which I really don't agree with, okay? Part 1, Part 2, Part 3 of the same, like the Avengers or like Jurassic Park or whatever you want to call it, or Superman or Spider-Man and stuff. I think they've really gone a little too far with that. And I think India is now also thinking about following in their footsteps, which I find really, really, it's not at all what I would do,
What are you working on currently?
So this year I've been going to a lot of film festivals. So I went to Cannes, I went to IFFI, I went to Mami. So I've been working on 3 offbeat films, like artistic films. One is called Mercy, and it talks about euthanasia and whether you should or should not pull the plug on your ailing mother. One is a film which I'm debuting in Malayalam cinema. It's called Adrika. It's a psychological thriller. And one more film I'm doing, which is a musical. It's called Sapna, and that has Sameer Anjan's music in it. So Anjanji's music, and Sameer Anjan has given hits to so many actors in the film industry of the 90s. So yeah, let's see. All of these are supposed to come out some point in 2025.
In 2025.
Yeah.
So Sapna is a Bollywood project.
Yeah, it's a Hindi film. Mercy is also a Hindi film, but a little off the beaten track, I would say. And Adrika is a Malayalam film. And then I did a short film with Rajpal Yadav called Being Alive, but that's already come out. Okay. That talks about a really nice philosophy which says that though we are alive, are we actually alive or not? And I really liked that that question, you know, and what does it mean to be alive, you know? Are you doing something? Are you serving a purpose? Are you actually involved with your society and your community? Because the scene that happens in our film, just in case you don't watch it, is that a girl gets raped, or you know, she gets molested. So nobody comes forward. Instead, they are taking videos and they are taking pictures and stuff. So you see, Rajpal goes and tells everybody, what kind of people are you? Are you actually alive? Are you actually living? Because if this is called living for you, then it's better you should not be living, you know. Yeah. So
it's a very good theme. Which platform is it on?
I think I'm not sure because they're still in process of talking in terms, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be well placed.
Okay.
But it's a nice small short film which I like the theme of it, and it was lovely to work with Rajpal Yadav, you know.
So how would you compare like working in South films as opposed to Bollywood?
Well, very difficult to learn the language, Malayalam.
How do you manage?
Though I'm a linguist, learning at this age Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam and Kannada is very hard. No, they do, but the point is that you're the one acting, so you have to speak the dialogue. So that becomes very hard.
So how do you learn it then?
So someone either prompts you, or you know, you sit and memorize your lines, but prompting was what
the meaning also, right?
So you have to, so what I did with my assistant directors was to sit down and first understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I understand what I'm saying, and then when I'm saying it, I can give that emotion.
Okay. What role do you play in Adrika?
I'm playing the lead in all of them.
All of them?
Yeah.
Superb. So you're getting meatier roles?
Yeah, now I am, slowly.
So more satisfied now with your career?
Yeah, a little bit.
You are? I mean...
yeah, a little bit. I don't want to sound ungrateful, but okay. I still want more.
Of course.
I'm a very hungry actress.
Who would you most like to work with as a director?
I really like Hansal Mehta. I like Andhadhun's director. I like who else do I like? I like Vishal Bhardwaj. I like also Ashutosh Gowarkar. I really like his work.
Okay.
So these are some of the directors.
And co-actors, who would your dream co-actors be?
Right now I'm fixated on Ayushmann Khurrana. I really want to work with him. I want to do something musical with him. Really interested to work with him on something musical, and I would love to be able to work with that actor. I think he's phenomenal. Otherwise, I also like Ishan Khatter a lot. I'd love to work with him. I really like Varun Dhawan because I like his energy.
Okay, well, I'm sure that'll happen. I'm sure that'll happen soon. And you have a production house.
Yeah, I recently opened a production house because I wanted to make the products that I wanted to star in. So that's why I did it. And so in my production house, the first thing I'm going to do is come out with a music video. So I'm going to keep the music aspect alive of my background, and I'm also going to try to build a film in that, which is about the history of the Indian flag.
History of the Indian flag.
Yeah, it's a very pedantic and a very historical question, but I don't think many Indians know how the Tiranga came to be.
How do you divide your time now between like cardiology research and between cinema?
So I'm building this hospital in Bangalore. So I meet a lot of investors, and I'm always trying to find out the new technology in medicine and keeping up to date with that. And at the moment I'm not shooting, but I was shooting like 5 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago in Nepal. So whenever I'm supposed to shoot, I'll take 3-4 days off, and I'll prepare for my shoot. Otherwise I'm always doing my medical work.
Always doing your medical?
Always.
But if you had to choose one of the two, what would it be?
I think I would choose medicine.
Medicine. Okay. All right. But I'm sure it's not going to come to that, but seem to be flourishing in both. That's great. Can we end with, can you give us a few mantras for success for young people out there?
So I am giving a TED talk tomorrow, and in my TED talk, the title of the talk is Having an Unbreakable Spirit and the DNA of Never Giving Up. So I'm going to talk about that because I feel that I've had a lot of tough sort of obstacles come my way, and it's really not been easy. And I find it very sad sometimes when someone does have certain qualities, values, backgrounds, and you still aren't able to crack the things that you want to do. So you don't know when it will happen, so never give up.
Dare to dream and never give up. I know I said this is the last question, but you mentioned like a lot of obstacles. If you could, mention one or two which you really found like overwhelming.
I think the politics in the film industry has made me very, I find it very difficult to deal with at times, and I don't like it at all.
Do you have good friends in the industry?
I do, but not good enough to help me counteract the politics industry.
But any specific project that you lost out on that really upsets you,
Yeah, Total Dhamal was the worst experience of my life. And
what happened?
Well, I had a much more bigger role than what was showcased. And so I truly saw the true colors of what it means to be put down, So I don't think it's fair. When you reach a certain position, I think you should be respected, and I don't think you should be put down.
But you still persist, as you said.
Never give up.
DNA of never giving up.
Because I can try to. How do people finance films? So they get investors, right? They get money. People in the film industry are not as wealthy as people in business. It's the business people who actually invest in our films. I will create my own empire.
You will.
Yes. If it comes to that, I will.
Okay, that's a great mantra for everyone out there. Great inspiration. Create your own empire. Dream, keep dreaming. DNA of never giving up. I like that. And you've lived these mantras. You've actually lived them, and I like that you don't have any bitterness. Whatever you experience, there's no bitterness, and that's important.
So the most important thing in doing all of this is that in this one life, you have to take it positively, right? Because if you're constantly like sad and depressed about the whole thing, I'm telling you, you can't even move 2 or 3 steps. You have to be positive about it.
You have to be positive. One life or many lives, whatever it is, but in this avatar, you have to make the most of it, right? Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Niharica. It's been a really lovely discussion. I look forward to your upcoming movies, Mercy and Adrika.
Thank you.
And Sapna.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay.